Now, if you want your book to be an agent for social change, this is the episode for you. I'm going to be sharing with you some tips and tricks and even some case studies of books that have actually made a difference by being published. And maybe your book could be one of those.
Are you an entrepreneur, small business owner, or consultant looking to boost your authority, influence, and impact? The Author Switch podcast with best selling, award winning author Carma Spence is your answer. Tune in for actionable advice, powerful strategies, and engaging interviews to turn on your author switch and take your business to the next dimension.
The Author Switch.
Hello, and welcome to the Author Switch podcast. I am your host, Carma Spence, and I help executive coaches, business leaders, consultants, and entrepreneurs write, publish, and market client attracting books so that they can grow their businesses with more speaking opportunities, more and better clients, and media placements. So, in this episode, I'm going to be talking about how you can become an agent for social change. Now, that does that mean you're going to change the whole world order? Probably not, but you can make a difference with your book and your message because authors are uniquely positioned to be change agents. Why? Number one, your book reaches more people than not your book because there are people who will read your book now and far into the future that you will never meet, and you may make a difference in their lives. Also, authors, because they are authors, have a greater deal of respect. People, when you say you're an author, people go, "Ooh, they're impressed." And that is what gives you that little extra oomph that it can help you make a change in a person's life, in a company's life, in the world's life. So, what's the first thing you need to do in order to become this change agent? You need to write with purpose. That means that you need to identify your cause, research your topic, and then offer solutions and a call to action to further that cause. Now, that can be anything from anti-vivisection to women in the workplace to helping people who are introverts be more respected in the workplace. It can be anything. It can be something small, it can be something big, but it's your message. You need to identify your cause and how your message can help further that cause. Now, if you want to amplify that message, find a nonprofit that is attached to that cause. So, for example, let's say I want to further the cause of pet adoptions. I could partner with there's a local adoption animal shelter here called Animal Ark. It's a no-kill shelter. I could partner with them to get the word out about that, or I could partner with one that's a little bit more widely known. When you partner with a nonprofit organization, you amplify your message because people realize you're not in this just for the money. You're in it for the message. Now, I'm gonna talk about 3 books that changed the world in some way because they were published. This first one, I'm not 100% sure if it was written with the intent to change the world, but it absolutely changed the world, and that is Uncle Tom's Cabin. Harriet Beecher Stowe, I do understand that she was an activist, but this book, when it was read by people, they were like, "This is terrible. This can't continue to happen." And so it actually furthered the cause that this book was against. It was published in 1852. It's an anti-slavery novel. And the book played a pivotal role in shaping public opinion about slavery in the United States and is credited with helping to ignite the abolitionist movement. This book changed the world. This next book I'm talking about, is Quiet. It's by Susan Cain, and it's all about the power of introverts in a world that just can't stop talking. Now, as an introvert, I've always been fascinated by this book because often as an introvert, because you're not in people's faces, not that all extroverts are in people's faces, but I have to admit, from the perspective of an introvert, it often feels like that. Well, this book, the s- brought to light the strength and value that introverts in a predominantly extroverted world, what we bring to the table. It helped introverts understand and embrace their unique qualities, leading to a shift in how businesses and society viewed and used the talents of individuals. She got behind her message that introverts offer value, and this book did change the world for introverts. And the last book I want to talk about is Who Moved My Cheese? I still haven't read this book, but I just want to. But this book, it was published in 1998. It's a short parable style book. Now, I have mentioned this where people use fiction to put forth a nonfiction message. This is an example. It's a parable of Who Moved My Cheese. Its central message is about adapting to change and the importance of being flexible and proactive. This book has changed the way businesses train people. It has been incorporated in leadership training, employee training. It is continuously used to this day to help train individuals on how to adapt to change in their life and in the workforce. So that is sort of the foundation of my message for today. We are now going to break for a moment for a commercial break, and then I will be back to talk about how you can create that change agent book.
In a world where the pen is mightier than the sword, one entrepreneur embarks on the ultimate quest to conquer the blank page and unleash a book that will change the game forever. Armed with Carma Spence's masterful strategies, our hero faces down deadlines, battles self-doubt, and navigates the treacherous waters of publishing, all in a race against time to bring their message to their ideal clients. The journey of 1,000 pages begins with a single word. Are you ready for your adventure? You can make it to the finish line. The saga begins now on Amazon.
So, how do you make your book a change agent to change something that you find important in the world? Before the break, I talked a little bit how you had to identify your cause, research what you need to talk about that cause intelligently, and then to offer solutions and a call to action because that's really important. You can't just say, there's this bad thing happening in the world, take notice. Because people are going to go, that's nice. Thank you. What do I do about it? If you really want to be a change agent, you need to offer a solution. And of course, that would be something you came up with, right? It's your message, it's your solution. And then you call to action. You say, here's the solution I've created, take action on it. So, how do you engage your audience in your message? You can create interactive content so that your readers are more involved. That can be interactive content in the book itself, or it can be around the book on your website, in social media. You can send out polls and quizzes and get people involved in your message. You can create collaborative projects and challenges where readers can take specific actions related to the cause that your book advocates for and share their progress and stories. So you could create a 5-day challenge. So, like, let's go back to my example of adopt more pets. Say that's my message, and my book is all about adopt more pets. We could do the adopt a pet 5-day challenge. And maybe on day 1, are you ready for a new pet? Day 2, what shelters are available? Maybe you want to adopt from a kill shelter, one that actually kills it so you can save the animal's life. Or maybe there's something you can get your audience to do to advocate for your kill shelters to become no kill shelters. Whatever those messages are. And then maybe day 3 is you prepare your home for your new pet, and day number 4 is you go out and you pick your new pet, and day 5 is you welcome the new pet into the environment, that kind of thing. I'm just making this stuff up as I go along, but you see what I mean? You take the information in your book, and you can do this even with a non-change agent. Like, for example, my book, Public Speaking Superpowers. I could have taken that book and turned it into a 5-day challenge that would help people overcome their fear of speaking, or maybe write their first speech, or, like, and I could create, in fact, I could probably create multiple challenges around the content of that book. You could do the same. You could do a challenge for each chapter in your book. Anyway, I'm going off topic here because I get excited about my ideas. You can also use social media for your advocacy. You can leverage platforms like Twitter and Facebook and Instagram to spread the message and connect with like-minded individuals. Again, you're promoting your book, but you're also promoting the greater message, the greater good that you're trying to create in the world. You want to create actionable content. Okay, this is really key. If you want to change the world, you need to give people things to do in order to create that change. Telling somebody that something is wrong in the world, like if Susan Cain had written a book that said, you know, we don't value introverts, and then just left it at that, people would be go, okay, thank you for sharing. And they wouldn't know what to do. They wouldn't know what to do. But she actually gave action steps that you can do to value the introverts in your business. So now you've got your actionable content, you've got your book in the world, you're interacting with your readers, you're starting to see change. You want to measure your impact. Now, I did an entire episode on how to measure your impact in different ways. I will drop that in the show notes. But basically, you want to create tools, methods for tracking the effectiveness of your advocacy and impact for your book. That episode is at authorswitch.com/measure impact. One word, measure impact. And it goes all into detail. I don't want to go into detail about that now because that's not what this episode is about. Now, when you are creating change in the world, you are going to have naysayers. You're going to have people who say that's not true, or you're lying, or they may say nasty things. They may say nice things too. You never know. There's probably going to be people who are for you, but you may come up against criticism and controversy. So, how do you handle that part? Here are some steps. Approach pushback with an open mind and a willingness to understand different perspectives. Actively listen to the concerns and feedback of your readers without immediately reacting defensively. The reason why you want to do this is you may have missed something, your readers caught it, and they're pointing it out to you. They may not actually be attacking you, they may actually be trying to help you. So listen, and if you immediately feel, oh, this is my baby, don't destroy my baby. Step back, breathe, and deal with it when you can deal with it more calmly. When you address pushback, provide well researched and factual responses. This shows that your advocacy is based on credible information and thoughtful consideration. So, for example, I am writing a book about writer's block. It should be coming out in September. And there are a lot of people out there who believe that writer's block doesn't exist. They're wrong. That's my stance. They're wrong. But that means that I may get pushback and people may try to tell me that my book's all full of bunk, except that I have done research and I have factual scientific research that proves my points. And so I can respond to that pushback with factual responses. You want to avoid getting drawn into emotional arguments. Instead, focus on clarifying misunderstanding and presenting your points clearly and calmly. That's why I say step back, breathe, wait until you can respond without being emotional. Because I don't know about you, but when I'm emotional, bleh, stuff comes out that doesn't make any sense. I'm a terrible debater. I really am because I can't do that in the moment. I get all in my emotions. So most of this is gonna be happening online, so you have the you have the grace to stop and come back to that comment later when you're not emotional about it. If you make a mistake and critique you received is valid, acknowledge it openly and explain what steps you're taking to address it. This transparency builds trust and credibility. So, for example, I may say something about, I don't know, writer's block. And someone says, you know what? I found this other research that says something else. What I might do, I have several options there. I go and I double check the research that they're saying, and either I point out that they misunderstood the research because I actually do have a background in science, so I understand a lot of this stuff in a way that someone who doesn't have a background in science might not understand. Or I might say, you know what? You're right. That research directly contradicts this research, and that happens in science. And then I can take a look at the research I had and the research they pointed out, and I may change my mind on the point. Who knows? It could happen. It could happen. Now, if you're really wanting to change the world, there's going to be long-term advocacy. That means you're going to be doing this for the long haul. It's a marathon, not a sprint. You can't change the world in a sprint. So you need to keep your message alive and relevant long after the book's release. That way you can ensure sustained impact and engagement. So how do you do that? Again, with the ongoing content creation and engagement. So you're constantly talking about your message over time. This is actually part of book marketing. You're going to have to do it. If you want your book to continue to sell and can continue to attract clients, you're going to have to market it for the long haul. It's the same thing with advocacy. You're going to have to market that book for the long haul. Now, here are some ideas for making that long haul a little more interesting. Leverage milestones and anniversaries. So let's say your book was like, okay, let's take my book, like that's coming out in September. Maybe every September I go, it's my book's birthday. And I do something that leverages that milestone. Or maybe something happens in the environment. So if I had written the book when George R. Martin was talking about his writer's block, I might have commented on his writer's block. And you know what? I follow writer's block in a Google News search. People are always talking about it. Right now, most of the people talking about it are musicians, songwriters. Apparently, songwriters get writer's block. And I could comment on that. I could. So monitor the news. Keep your message forefront by tying it to things that are going on right now in the news. You can forge partnerships with organizations, influencers, and other authors who share your advocacy goals. So I've got a whole library of books about writer's block because I wanted to see what's being said and how am I different. I could partner if I this was my message. I could partner with other authors of books about writer's block to create writer's block summits or writer's block events because they have an advocacy to end writer's block. Well, I do too, and we could partner together. I could partner with Writer's Digest magazine. I could partner with the Nonfiction Authors Association and do something because all of these organizations have a stake in helping authors overcome writer's block. I can partner with them and further my message over the long haul. And you also want to create and nurture a dedicated community around your advocacy. So, one of the authors that I interviewed for this podcast wrote a book called Be a Dick. It's a catchy book. It's about this guy he met whose name is Dick, who he learned a lot of wonderful life lessons from. And so his message is you want to be more like Dick. In other words, be a dick. And so he's created a whole community where people share how they are being like Dick. So you can do something similar. You can create a community around your message, thus giving your message legs. So that's what I've got for you today. I hope that you found some of the tips and advice that I provided today useful. And I hope you will get out there, get your message into the world because I believe in you. If you are an expert, you probably have a message that can be furthered and increased and amplified with a book. And I'm here to help. Just reach out. This is Carma Spence saying ciao for now. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Author Switch podcast. If you enjoyed today's show and want to support its mission, here's how to help. First, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Your engagement helps my channel grow and reach more aspiring and established authors. Your ratings and reviews are invaluable. They help me reach more listeners and continue delivering top-notch content. To catch up on past episodes, including those no longer available on podcast platforms, visit authorswitch.com/episodes. There, you can choose to watch or listen to your favorite episodes at your convenience. If you'd like to show additional support, consider dropping a tip in the tip jar at buymeacoffee.com/Carma Spence. Your contributions help keep the podcast running and are greatly appreciated. Thank you for being a part of the Author Switch community. Until next time, keep writing.